There we go. We're gonna have a Mark Trogdon and Twaun P. Ponertown.
Yeah, Nat, why don't we have Chandelar 2 yet? I would love to have a modern AI to play against. I mean, that's why I go back to Chandelar.
And I understand that, but you know, at this point, you could just play against an actual human. And
I don't want to play against it.
well, like I said, I feel like I'm wasting two people's time if I'm playing against a human.
I understand.
Man.
Trogdon's playing shops, right?
I would guess no. Last time he was playing Delver.
He did say that he was playing blue cards, and it was okay.
Blue cards are better.
Oh, sure.
Actually, well, so my theory about Mark, and Mark has played in the Cleveland area for a long time. He's sort of stepped back from the game. I would call him semi-retired. But I would say that Mark stolidly will not play the best deck. And I think when Shops was the perceived best deck, he didn't want to play Shops.
Okay.
Honestly, like if people told him that Shops is not the best deck, and there's room to be had by playing a Shops strategy that's novel and tries to beat up on the best deck, like he might be on that.
What's your favorite Trogdon card that he's trounced you with?
Jester Scepter.
Oh, yeah, I've definitely lost to that one, too.
Yeah.
My favorite was the Juggernauts with Onaganata.
Oh, yes, Onaginata.
Oh.
I would say Jester Scepter is good, Onaginata is good, Wirecat. Wirecat is up there.
Oh, yeah, Wirecat.
He was playing, Mycosynth Lattice long before Karn was a thing.
Yeah, I remember. I think that my first introduction to Mark was when there was a game going on with Mycosynth Lattice and a giant
Shattering Spree.
Shattering Spree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And it was between Mark and Jerry Yang, and it was both of them playing basic mirror match. And it was just like, all right, how long can I hold this Shattering Spree before I destroy my opponent's board?
Yeah. And I think that in response to the Shattering Spree, there was a Rack and Ruin played to destroy the Mycosynth Lattice, so the Shattering Spree basically fizzled.
Right. Oh, man. Those were crazy times.
Good times.
Vintage in Ohio back in like the mid-2000s was just the Wild West. Hey, what's up,
Hey, Jimmy.
Just making sure you're all good.
Yeah, we're great.
Okay. You know you can shrink the Twaun's name to like smaller.
Nope.
We didn't want to do that.
Nope.
It's up to you.
Nope.
We
That
like
fits
it.
him.
No,
we like it.
We did that.
Okay.
I did that on purpose.
Okay. You ready for the match? These
Yeah.
guys have a combined 0 match points, so someone's gonna get their first point here.
Aw.
They're currently the last place match, but like who could pass up Trogdon against Twaun?
I agree.
Yeah.
So like the senseis of workshops, and it can tell you how good workshops are. That one of them is not playing them at all.
Yeah, one of them's not playing them,
and
I'm sure.
the other one has 0 points.
Yeah.
So yeah, workshops are in a good place right now. I'm gonna go play my match.
Good luck.
Good luck.
So I would also say that Twaun has sort of stepped back from the game. He hasn't been quite as active. Still comes out for TSIs.
He has a kid.
As a kid, once you have a kid, you disappear into the woodwork. And
Is this true, Nat?
I mean, I'm here. I'm not playing Vintage, but I'm here. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see which one of these two is not playing workshops.
It's probably Mark.
That would be my guess.
I would expect. Well, I don't know.
I was
I was not going to be surprised if Twaun was playing Tog.
When Mental Misstep was restricted, I had a long chat conversation with Twaun about Goblin Welder and bringing back black-red stacks. And I don't know. I convinced myself on it, and I built it, and it's fun. I like it. Dark Confidant and Goblin Welder, and now Goblin Engineer is pretty fun.
Mm-hmm. What are the numbers you play of each of those?
I eventually ended at four of all of them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
that's pretty intense.
Because why not? I don't know if Twaun wasn't really playing. We were just sort of theorizing back and forth. And I don't know if I convinced him of anything. This was a few months ago, so I would love to see him on black-red stacks here. I'm kind of doubting it. Mark, like I said, was on Delver last time I saw, which was last Hazard Invitational. Oh no, that's not true. He was at the diaper party, but he wasn't playing, right? I don't think he was playing.
No, he was not. That's
Yeah.
true.
So anyway, last time I saw Mark play, he was at the Hazard Series Invitational number 4. He was on Delver with Light Up the Stage.
Light up the stage?
Light Up the Stage.
I don't know what that is.
You can play it for 1 if you've attacked with a creature. Oh no, if your opponent has taken damage, you can play it for 1, and then you remove 2 cards from the top of your library and can play them until the start of your next turn.
Oh, right, yes.
So it's kind of a pseudo draw spell. Is Mark playing Burn? All I saw was burn cards. It was a mountain and a chain lightning and a lightning bolt, and things are gonna get hot.
How do you feel about Burn and Vintage?
I hope he's just saying, here, pick one of these and I'll play it targeting your face. He was not. That's all right. Anyway, Twaun is that's Arcane Laboratory. No, not Arcane Laboratory. The Riptide Laboratory.
Riptide Laboratory.
Are neither of these two playing workshops?
What is going on here?
Because Twaun is going to be returning wizards to his hand. Bobby Big Brain.
It's probably signed by the RZA, I would
Bobby
assume.
Digital. Yes. I know one of Mark's complaints is that he has trouble reading the cards now. Because they're tiny. He wears glasses.
Sure.
Double Bob.
Double Bob.
Double
okay.
Bob.
He's that's a gassy start.
So it's gassy, except that he's playing against Burn, which I assume just kills those immediately. I remember playing.
Yep, there's one.
There's one down. I remember playing Bob Tendrils against a Burn deck at Waterbury one time, and he just let my Bobs live, thinking like, oh, they're just going to deal him extra damage, and instead I just drew extra cards and just overran him.
Yeah, I think like you can hope that they're going to deal some extra damage, but you also just might take no damage and just get a ton of gas out of it.
Yeah, there's lots of math,
Wait,
probability
did he
math.
not kill one of the Bobs?
He did a different thing. I don't know what it was. That may have been Light Up the Stage. No, it wouldn't have been, because his opponent didn't take damage. Was it Light Up?
Yeah, this is already seeming real bad.
Oh, no, he didn't burn the Bobs. He bolted his opponent and played Light Up the Stage to draw 2 cards.
Oof.
So, Mark expecting that Bob is going to give him some help.
Give him some help.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
I would think that Mark would be a little bit more savvy about the card advantage.
Yeah. Well, that is a fetch land helping him out, so Bob is giving him that.
Yeah, right. It's okay. I don't think we care about the cards being face up. I'm sorry. This is an unsanctioned match in a basement, and I'm not even going to bother yelling down to the other end of the basement.
Yeah, we don't exist for rules enforcement.
It's okay for me.
So
I don't feel like it's going to be. I don't know if you heard. Yeah, the 0303 bracket. It's just we're fine. Don't let it get to your head. Our judge currently lives in San Diego, and that's just how it works.
wait, who's our judge?
Frank, he's not here.
He's in San Diego now?
Yeah,
Oh man, I didn't know that.
yeah. I miss him.
Yeah, Frank's great. Third
Bob.
Ah, okay. I mean,
We're doing this.
seems legit.
This is what's happening.
Three Bobs versus 3 mountains. All right, there's
Okay,
one
one.
down.
He needs like a forked lightning.
Burn is another one of those decks. I've played Burn for a short while, and I mean, it's just like aggro, where you get your opponent
Yeah.
low and then you die.
Yeah.
Like, getting those last 3 points is
Yeah.
the hardest part of the game.
Well, because your opening hand starts with 7 cards, and
Yep.
some of number of them are lands.
Yeah.
So Mark has taken 2, 4, 4. I mean, he's up at the 10 damage, I think. He's at 10.
I think I was also playing, what is it, Smash to Smithereens in that? It busts an artifact and deals them 3 damage.
Sure does.
I've never played against so many opponents who were not playing artifacts.
That's how that one goes. I'll play, not a Mox. Oh. It's a land, huh? Cool.
You're playing unpowered, you say?
There certainly are a lot of you here. I don't know if you can hear what's going on in the background. Someone said Wall of Fire, which is a 0-5, not a 0-6.
We had mentioned earlier about the ability to read cards.
It's very hard. I mean, I think we're speculating about what a Wall of Fire does, and it's not a 0-6. So that's a Phyrexian Revoker. Mark has played 0 targets for that. He unfortunately cannot name Mountain.
Yeah, what do you blind name against Burn with
Mox
Phyrexian
Ruby.
Revoker? That's fair. That's fair.
I mean, I feel like, is Mark's hand mostly land?
I
No.
can't understand why his, like, he has 4 lands on the board.
Yeah.
Like, he should be able to play anything in his deck, right?
Is that Scab Clan Berserker?
This is all you, buddy.
Oh. These hazard cards.
Jeez.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Can you...
It has haste and renown.
All right, can you define renown for me?
Renown is when this creature deals combat damage to a player. If it isn't renowned, put a +1/+1 counter, and it becomes renowned. It's a 2/2. It also has text. Whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, if Scab Clan Berserker is renowned, Scab Clan Berserker deals 2 damage to that player. So it's a pyrostatic pillar on legs.
Got it.
If it is renowned.
If it is
which
renowned.
Not. It is now. It is now renowned.
Wow. Okay.
So now it's a pyrostatic pillar.
I mean, pyrostatic pillar is pretty good.
Right.
Until you actually play one, and then you realize that it's not doing anything for you.
Right. Mark Trogdon, I think, would be at 6, rather. I think he's at 6.
Hey,
Look, it's
Frank's
Frank.
in the chat. Hi, Frank.
Man, Team Serious memes are the best. Like that is a meme that is, man, that's at least 7 years ago.
Well, you were living in D.C. at the time when we came to visit you.
Was I married? Well, I was at our apartment, Elizabeth's apartment.
Yeah,
So I was
just
definitely
before.
married, so that would have been,
Or just, yeah.
So it would have been 2009 or 2010.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, man.
Never getting Thalia Sword. That's for sure.
I don't work in this channel.
I don't either. So
Yeah.
we're watching.
I'm still confused as to why Mark has so many cards in hand.
I think I don't know. On the left, we're watching vintage something.
It's
got Bobs and planes.
It seems to be just Bob's
Yeah. Well, and Riptide Lab.
and Riptide Lab, which
And Mark is playing Burn. He's playing pretty much what I would expect for vintage Burn. Scab Clan Berserker,
I mean, is he playing Riptide Lab just to save Bob from removal?
perhaps.
Because I guess that's okay.
Perhaps. I mean, who knows? Oh man, we're trading creatures.
Oh man.
This is like a modern match.
Yep.
So Mark has a 3/3 Scab Clan Berserker that can now block, and that's a Batter Skull. So Twaun just took 4, 5, 5, 4, 5.
But God, Batter Skull is so hard
I think
to
it's
deal.
5 because it gets +4/+4.
Batter Skull's so hard to deal with,
Oh yeah, well.
and it's got lifelink.
He can cast it. He can cast it, but like, it's very possible he will never be able to equip it.
Doesn't it come equipped? On
Well,
a
no. Well, I guess
on the
it
on the
does,
germ,
yes, on the germ.
and then it's got lifelink,
Yeah.
and if you kill the germ, it just brings it back and makes another one.
Well, sure, but I mean that's you have to pay mana to have all that happen.
He has mana.
Only 5.
Some.
Well, all right.
What do we think Twaun's life total is at this point?
I think it's actually reasonably high, except for the damage that he's taken from his own bobs. That's very. So he's played the Batterskull. The Batterskull is very good against Mark.
Yeah, I think that this would be very difficult for Mark because he can ride the Batterskull pretty well.
He's got to draw like Fire Blast. That's got to be a card in his deck.
Does that help?
Doesn't he kill the germ? He kills the 4/4 germ.
He kills the germ, but the Batterskull comes back to hand and
the
plays.
germ,
Gets
the germ
replayed.
is a 4/5, right? Because it's a 0. No, it's a 0/0 with a 4/4 rider, right? Yeah. So I assume Twaun attacks here. Mark decides whether he wants to try and get the Bobs to kill him or block a Bob. I assume he blocks a Bob because he can't afford to take more damage.
Yeah, the germ is
A 0/0.
4/4.
It's a 4/4, right? And
Batterskull.
Batterskull.
It's a good card.
Nice. It is a card in this game, that's for sure.
You don't think it's very good?
I mean, he hardcast it, which can't be the plan, right? Like, your plan is not hardcast
I
Batterskull.
don't know. It's not. It's what, 4?
It's 5, right?
It's 5.
That's a red card. That's
I'm mostly speaking from someone who has been on the receiving end of Batterskull and being woefully incapable of actually doing anything about it.
right.
Like, you kill the germ, it doesn't matter. It just comes back.
This is a card from, looks like Theros. Original Theros. And he's drawing 3 and then has to discard some of them. Wait, was that Browbeat? That couldn't have been Browbeat.
It could have been.
Risk Factor, that's the one.
What? What?
Yeah.
Who won that?
Mark did. He had Lightning Bolt. Twaun could not take the damage from the Risk Factor, and then Mark Lightning Bolted him.
What does Risk Factor do?
Risk Factor is essentially Browbeat. You either take 4 damage or you draw 3 cards, and it has Jumpstart, which means you can play it from your graveyard.
I thought we decided that Browbeat was terrible.
Risk Factor is better
Because you can
play it
from your-
twice.
Because you can play it twice?
Yeah.
Alright. I guess if you want them to take the damage, Browbeat seems appealing. I was always looking at Browbeat as a draw spell, which it's
No.
not. It's a burn spell because
well,
your opponent
it's
will.
never really what you want.
Yeah, exactly. It's not what you want, and I want to draw cards.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Well, that was interesting.
That was, I mean, there was lots of stuff going on there. We had attacks.
Yeah.
We had creatures getting burned. We had
That's-
players getting burned.
That's true.
There was a Batterskull. There was a card printed in the last 2 years.
This seems like the kind of deck that I would be playing against Mark, and then he would break out Boil against me and blow me out.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Twaun only had 2 or 3 islands.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think it's gonna take home the trophy today, but
I would not be. Both of them are 0-3.
I would not
don't
be
think
surprised.
Either one is going to go home with a trophy today.
I would not be surprised if Boyle is somewhere in Mark 75.
Potentially. Let's see. We are on the match view, and we want the game score. So, as far as we know, Mark Trogdon won.
All right,
Which is now 7-2.
7-2.
For left chair versus right chair. I would say that, based on the contents that we've seen of Twaun's deck, Mark might have the advantage here.
Because Twaun just has too much.
No, I would say just
Well?
because Mark has more burn than Twaun has creatures, and
Okay.
I don't know what Twaun is trying to win with.
That's fair.
That's not a creature. I guess
Yeah, all we saw from Twaun was just basically beats,
his-
value beats.
Yeah, his best answer is going to be like Tinker. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
What if he's actually playing Psychoton?
Can he be?
I would not put it past him.
I guess the Batterskull is what throws me.
It's true.
Batterskull main.
I mean that seems like What do you call it? You know, Mystic Forge, or not Mystic Forge, Stoneforge Mystic deck.
Ooh, they're shuffling.
It's true.
Are shuffling.
So, more of that shuffling time we were speaking about.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, so it's oh, I actually know what both of them are playing. So
you want to talk about Batch some more?
Oh, we can talk about Batch some more.
I don't actually have a whole lot more to talk about Batch.
Oh, Jeff has more
oh,
about Batch.
update from Unsealing. I'm game count wise 1 and X.
Oh, good.
That's good.
How did you win your game?
I hardcasted the shit out of Palicron.
And just attacked?
No,
Oh.
I hardcasted Palicron. The next turn I played Unsealing. In turn bounced Palicron.
Oh.
And I had 6 lands in play and a bunch of Moxen.
So you just played it again and again?
Yep, play, bounce, play, bounce, play, bounce.
There you go. So, about batches, what else did you have?
Not a whole lot. Ultimately, I think that there was an interesting conversation on Wizards.com, and I don't remember who wrote the article, talking about the order of how interrupts work. Essentially, that interrupts resolved before instance, and they gave a scenario where I think that their scenario was someone is being burned to death, and then and then there's another spell, and the person plays a counter spell that makes them gain life.
Uh-huh.
And
Absorb.
And in the scenario with the interrupt, that would immediately resolve and the player would gain life, so that they couldn't bolt them in response to that and kill them.
Right.
But whereas in Batch, like, you would immediately gain the life.
A little bit of cabbage patch going
That's
on
cool.
there.
Dancing there.
And the question was whether that's good or bad for the game.
Isn't it just the same for the game? It just depends on.
It's sort of how I feel.
Yeah.
That was why I thought it was weird when they were that was being set up as something that made the game better. That you that like the person with the interrupt wouldn't just basically get their spell in faster.
The blue player lives.
Right. And that's what Andy said. It's
Yeah.
just like, I think that's fundamentally you're saying that like you want counter spells to be better than
Right.
burn.
Yeah.
Or do you want burn to be better than counter spells?
Well, we've talked about that with regards to vintage too, where it's like there are positions you can have with vintage where it's just like this is clearly just pro blue versus like anti workshops. Like
Right.
it's like, you know, you can have that opinion and, you know, no one's going to fault you for it, but like you're really just taking this position at the total expense of workshops, or vice versa.
You're coming at this from the perspective of a player with some biases rather than like trying to make a balanced game.
Yeah, you enjoy playing Jeskai. Cool, but you know there are other players too.
There are?
There are. Well, and it goes the other way too. Like there are players who it's like they take the position that, you know, workshops that you can have one position that's like totally pro workshop versus whatever else is going on. So that's Leyline of Sanctity coming out against Mark Trogdon. That's really going to hurt the burn plan.
That's double Leyline of Sanctity,
It
right?
for sure is.
And Mark is mono red, which has 0 ways to deal with enchantments still, correct?
No, there's a thing that causes your opponent to sacrifice an enchantment.
Really?
Yes. Or no, is that black? I think that's black.
Oh.
Oh, man, they printed it in black.
It has Chaos Warp works, though,
That's
right?
true. Chaos Warp would
Chaos
work.
Warp.
Although if Twaun is playing a deck with only Leylines of Sanctity, he will Chaos Warp into a Leyline of Sanctity.
Sure. Do you think that Twaun is playing a deck with only Leylines of Sanctity in it?
As an enchantment, yes. So I mean, this is Mark's answer. He's going to be attacking with Gutter Snipe,
Oh, okay.
which makes sense.
And that also means
that's a thing.
that also means that Mark can play. Gutter Snipe doesn't target, does it? The ability?
No, I believe it does. It's just he can attack.
He can
with
attack with it. Okay. I was thinking that he might be able to burn other things and have gutter snipe to deal the damage, but if gutter snipes damage targets, then
Maybe.
that obviously will not work.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I don't remember gutter snipe.
I have played with gutter snipe before, and I don't remember.
Oh, maybe it is just an opponent.
It deals 2 damage to each opponent. It does not target.
That is a quality card.
Yeah.
Burning into the countryside. Oh. No, that's the shaman.
There are all kinds of creatures coming out here. This seems like a pretty reasonable response to Leyline of Sanctity.
It's very good that Twaun hasn't played lands. And he mulliganed a card, essentially, because he was down a card for both Leylines of Sanctity.
Right.
So he started at -1 card and has not played a land.
At
Really.
least he's got that Riptide Laboratory.
Oh, he's gonna get dinged from the shaman.
What's the shaman?
It's the pump shaman. Well, the 1/3 shaman. If a player were to activate a land, artifact, or a creature ability that's not a mana source, does 1 damage.
Gotcha.
And then you can pay red, and 3 colors so it gets +3/+3. That's the late game.
Hey,
How many viewers?
22.
Okay.
Oh,
Not
hi,
bad.
22 viewers. Hi, how are we doing? See, Solly's blowing up, chat.
I'm not feeling 22.
Yeah, Sally's doing great.
Hi, Solly!
I think that, man, Twaun's opener seems extremely weak here.
He's very, very slow.
Riptide
I think he went all
Yeah.
in the sanctuaries.
Yeah, he's got Riptide Laboratory, which does not produce colored mana.
Leyline of Sanctity isn't going to win the game, though.
Well,
Is it
he's gonna
Stoneforge
win-
Mystic?
Yes.
It's a Stoneforge
So
Mystic.
Stoneforge Mystic is kind of an
Alright.
answer to burn.
That
That
seems better.
Reverse, name a card.
That also explains the presence of Batterskull.
Oh yeah, I mean, I figured
Well-
with Batterskull he also had Stoneforge Mystic. I would also expect the Stoneforge Mystic to last approximately half a turn.
And that clock is started.
I would say that mountains are Mark's second favorite
No,
land
it
type
is
after
Mark's
workshops.
favorite, yeah. Well, yeah. Workshop, then mountain. The fact that he has all unglued mountains
Yeah.
is he digged for those to find those.
And
There's only Mark who just like
there
grabbed
is
random
the skull.
mountains, but he digged for the unglued ones.
That's just in his hand.
Yeah.
Bolt.
And kill.
And it's over.
Oh! And then
And
did
take
he-
2.
Gutter. Oh, he's got gutter snipe in play. Oh, so that's kill your Stoneforge and take 2.
Take 2, right. So Mark Trogdon, probably giddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice when all these things work out.
Yeah.
And then
And I don't know what. I mean, I would like to have seen more from Twaun's deck. But I feel like this is just going to be pump that guy.
pump it.
Yeah, I don't.
No, it has to be 5 to pump it. Oh,
He had a spirit guide.
Yes,
I don't.
So that's
This seems tough for Twaun.
5, 6 right there.
Yeah, I assume. I mean, Mark still actually has a pretty big hand there.
Yeah.
4 or 5 cards?
Like,
3, 4?
he-
4? So,
All,
like,
all those things that aren't going to Twaun's Dome are ready to
are just in his hand.
be
right.
employed.
Yeah, so we're watching Vintage Burn on the right side of your screen. It's currently 0-3, but it's probably going to win its first match here.
That's Roker. Guess he names the.
I guess he can name that. So
I
it
think
can't
they're
pump.
talking about the shaman. Yeah.
I believe that's the first card we've seen that Mark has played that has an activated ability.
1 chain lightning.
Yep. Yep.
So Mark just punching holes in the
Doink.
sky here.
There are.
That's
Scarab.
That's Scab Clan
Yep,
Berserker
Scab
again.
Clan.
So
There.
that's going to be renowned.
Yep. 2, 6 around. Yeah.
And Scoop.
And Gutter Snipe was enough to seal the deal.